Sorry for the poor camera quality, but I'm working with what I have. If you want to have an eye look like this, stay tuned. I have put together a quick segment of how to do this. The lighting keeps changing, so it ends up always looking different. So I've done one of the eyes so far, and I'm going to show you how to do the other eye as we're going along. I didn't have an exact palette to match the colours that I was given, but I found some kind of general dupes. So there's a colour in the 4-pan palette that is up on the top right hand corner, and I found that this shade from the Naked 2, it's called Tease, looks really like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with that colour, but I'm going to use this brush from Morphe. Now it has no label as to exactly what it is, but you can see that it's kind of densely packed at the bottom, but then kind of really fluffy at the top, because that allows you to pick up all of the colour, pat it onto the lid, but then you can blend it out. So I'm going to do that as we go along. So what you do is you pick up your colour. Bear with me because I have to have a mirror because I cannot see what I'm doing. And you put it just up here, just above your crease. So you tap it on. And the reason why you tap it on is just so you can get all the pigment up there. So just tap it and you'll see that you should be starting to get a certain amount of colour. Bear with me. I have a cat that is looking for me. So back to it. Glasses off again, so you can see a bit better. Well, I can't see a bit better, but you guys can see a bit better. So again, in with that same shade, and what I'm doing is I have it just over the crease, and I'm still patting it, and I'm bringing it down onto the lid. That way I'm building a little bit more colour, so pat, pat, pat. So no swirling yet, because if you swirl, you're going to get a ton of fallout, and it's not going to give you all of the pigment that you want. And when you're working with kind of neutral shades like this, you probably do want to get as much colour as you possibly can from it. Also, I have a full face of makeup, so I want to avoid actually getting fallout on top of that. So you can see there, we've already kind of got a good chunk of colour there. I'm just going to put a teeny tiny bit more. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to start to blend the colour out from here onto the eye and then up a little bit towards where the brow actually is, because you can kind of see it there. So what we're going to be doing is taking the existing eyeshadow, so no need to dip back in, and just kind of swirl it over. So in circular motions, you're going above where your crease is, bringing it over, and then straight over to where kind of almost where the actual eyebrow is, and you're kind of working it in towards that, because that gives you kind of the appearance of having like bigger eyelids, so more to kind of work with. It makes your eyes look way more open, and it kind of works well with this sort of thing. So you're kind of bringing it over, so you can kind of get a general idea there. Looks a little bit patchy on camera, but in person it does not look patchy. So I'm just gonna swirl it over again, just bringing it over until you're kind of happy with the amount of pigment that you're getting, bringing it over here. I like to work it down a little bit just so I have a little bit of a shade in the corner, so you can kind of see that there. So then that's that bit done. Let's see what that looks like, because of course I can't see what I'm doing. So that gives you a general idea. That has just, it's very, don't worry if it's not hugely pigmented, it doesn't have to be. The next one, or the next colour I'm using is, in the 4-pan palette there was a dark brown corner in the bottom right hand corner. So I found a shade really like that in the Naked Smoky called Whiskey. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to pick up the exact same brush that I had before. So this one, whoa, it fell, it's fine, 10-second rule, it's totally fine. So pick up a little bit of pigment. particularly with this, because this is a much darker pigment than the last one, you really need to pat this on. Don't swirl it on, pat it on, because otherwise it's just going to fall all down here and you're going to lose a ton of colour. So you're going to be packing it straight on here, just on like the outer edge. It's almost like the third of the eyelid, the outer third. So you're packing it on. So you still want to get a little bit more because there isn't a huge amount of colour coming from it yet. Now you're starting to see there's a bit more colour building from it, and still patting it on. So just pat, 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 like a cat. So you start to see it's kind of building up in colour there. And you see the reason why you have the two kind of shades together is there's like this gradient going from the dark to the light. Now from here, what you do is you take this brush and you blend it. So you swish, circular motions. So just when in doubt, swirl, just swirl it. And you see you're going to have it go along a line like this. So it's almost meeting your brow. Well, not quite meeting your brow, but it's kind of going up in this sort of an angle. So when you are swirling, make sure that you're swirling it up like this. So you're swirling it a little bit on the eyelid, then swirling it out towards the edge. Super easy, even a fool like myself can do it. And you can kind of bring it down because you want to bring a little bit of colour down. So you're just swirling it, patting it on there like that. So you've already kind of got your outer layer fairly well done at this point. Now, of course, it doesn't kind of read very well on the computer, but it looks better, I promise. It'll end up looking like this. So the next thing we do, close that one, is there was a white shade on the top left-hand corner of the 4-pan palette. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a little shading brush like this. See how it's kind of, there we go. So it's really densely packed. It's quite flat. It's not very fluffy. The reason why is it packs on a lot of colour, and you don't use this to blend, you just use that to pat that on. The other one, you can use it to pat it on and blend, but this is just for patting on. So the kind of colour I found that looked a bit like the one in the top left-hand corner was the shade Foxy in Naked 2. I was like, that's close enough, that'll do. So I'm just going to take that, put it onto the eyelid. So just around here, and even building it up beyond the crease. So what I'm doing is going here, tapping it on. Because it's such a pale shade, it does take a little bit to get some pigment. But you see how I'm working it just above where the crease is? So just tapping it on. I need to get a better camera, but I have like no money, so you know, such is life. I'm using what I have. So you just tap it on. You can see it's kind of meshing in with this, but don't worry, you'll be kind of coming back to that in a little bit. So you have that. Again, it's straight up towards and over the crease. So you can see it's kind of starting to take shape there, but we want to make a little bit more drama out here. And what we start to do is we get, I'm not even going to bother putting my glasses back on at this point. We have this shading brush. So it's pretty much the same as the last one. I just didn't want to double dip in. So again, it has that kind of circular head, densely packed, flat. It's just for picking up colour. So what I'm doing is I'm going back in with that dark brown shade that you would have found in the bottom right corner. So again, it's Whiskey in the Naked Smoky palette. So I'm taking that, and what I'm doing is I'm pressing it along the lower lash line, or not the lower lash line, the upper lash line. I'll get there eventually. Words are hard today. So there we go. Just kind of patting it there like this. Just get a little bit of colour. Don't worry if it's not a perfect line, because you can just go over it again with the whiter shade, because that's what I do personally, because I can't see what I'm doing. This is just a sheer winging a prayer as to what it is that I'm doing. You can kind of maybe make out here how small my eyelashes are. They are non-existent. It's really sad. They're too short to actually get extensions, or so I've been told by the lady in the salon. And I'm assuming she's not BSing me because she's just losing out on business otherwise. So here we go. So I have it kind of done along the lower lash line. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in with the white again just to clean it out. So that's the shade Foxy in the Naked 2 palette. And just kind of go a little bit over that to kind of smooth it out. And you can see now we mostly have like white on the lid and we don't have a huge amount of like brown. Whereas over here we have a lot more. This is where we're coming back in with our brown again. So we take the original brush that we were using, if I can see it. Where is it? There we go. It's harder to find things when you don't have your glasses on. So take this brush again, go back in with that dark brown shade. So it's, again, I'm using Whiskey in the Urban Decay Smoky palette. So what I'm doing then is I'm putting it onto the outer corner, patting it on, because again, if you started swirling it on, I'm just going to get a ton of fallout down there and I don't want that. That's just a nightmare waiting to happen, and I couldn't be bothered. I'd have to like put on foundation and stuff again. Not that I have very full coverage foundation on at the moment. I don't like very full coverage foundation. So swirling at this point, because it's already tapped down, it's already firm on the lid. So I'm going to get a little bit more. Tapping it down and swirling it. I always think the faces I make when I'm doing makeup is really weird. I always purse my lips like this, like it's ever actually going to make any sort of a difference. It doesn't, but in my mind it does. And you'll notice I have a little bit of colour underneath my lash as well. It's really funny. Yeah, see, it's just the light makes it look less put together. So if you see, once I take away the light, you can kind of see it a little bit better. There we go. It's just all to do with my lighting in here. So what I do then, because I have stuff on the lower lash line, is I take this brush here. It's a Domed Utility by Sigma, but it's kind of, it's rounded, but you'll see that it's not flat like the other ones. It's much more densely packed, and this allows you to take on a certain amount, but it will actually allow you to blend it out if you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out that shade that would have been in the top right hand corner. So it's, now you're going to see how blind I am. Tease in Urban Decay 2. So I'm going to take that, pick it up with that. I'm going to put it on the inner corner of the eye, because from this bit here is where you want the darker colour. So you're going to see, again, because this is such a light shade, it doesn't come up with a huge amount of pigment. So patting it on. Can hear my cat snoring. And then I've Cece right next to me because, you know, she can't be without me apparently. She freaked out because I left her for all of 2 minutes in the sitting room by herself and I went into the kitchen to do this. So I've already put a little bit of the lighter colour on here. You want to have a lighter colour coming into your inner corner so it opens up your eyes, because if you put a fully dark colour all the way in, it just makes it look like your eyes are closed off. So then the next thing we do is taking the exact same brush, dip into the dark brown. So it was the one on the bottom right of the 4-pan. It's the shade Whiskey in the Smoky palette. So what I'm doing, and you see I'm going to be connecting this here, this section here, to the lower lash line. So I'm going to be kind of going from here down and bringing it, and I'm just kind of patting it. And you're starting to see some of the colour is kind of coming up. A little bit of fallout, but it's not too bad. I can deal with it. So just tapping it on. That was my own fault because I started blending straight away and it's like, what are you doing, Tracy? You know better than that. I mean, I don't, but like, you know. Now I can blend because I have it patted on. Yay, I'm learning. So I'm going to put a little bit more down here because I want to have it basically, again, like the third of the eye. So coming in towards, not quite where your iris is, but where your eye colour is coming in. So just there. Tapping it to just here. And again, always making sure it's joining up with the upper lash and the upper eyelid. So it's super subtle. And that's it. The next thing I do, we've done all the eyeshadow. That's it. That's as hard as it gets. I'm going to close these because I'm really weird. I can't leave them open. There we go. That'll do. Next thing I do is I have a brown eyeliner pencil, which I have used to death. It's two-sided. There's one brown and one black. So I'm using the brown because I think because it's quite a brown look, I don't want to go in with a black because it makes it look more severe. And I go in just again to the inner third just to give that extra kind of depth. So bringing it in. Don't do the whole lash line, but that's up to you. But I don't like to do the whole lash line, so I'm just doing it here. There we go. So that's that. And the next thing I do, because I have such short lashes, I pretty much always have to wear false lashes, but I would always put on mascara on my lower lashes just to kind of even it out. So I'm just putting a little bit on the lower lashes. There we go. It's really annoying because I have really long lower lashes, but then like my upper lashes are a joke. So let's see. So you can see there I have like my false lashes on. It looks a lot nicer. Don't have my false lashes on now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my false lashes and then you'll kind of see what it looks like. So that's it. I hope that was at least semi-helpful. I have my lashes on now, so I look a little bit more kind of human. I like this style of lash. It's by Eyelure. It's called Solitaire. I think it gives a really nice effect. If I take off my glasses, I think you can see it a little bit better. Camera quality is horrific, but still, you get a general idea. I've inserted some pictures as well of the general eye look, so you get a good idea. That's it. Enjoy. Bye.